Hey guys, we'll talk about VVPR. Really interesting play. Missed what was honestly an A plus long off the 1 minute 20 here. Um, some reason I thought, it might pull back and set up later, maybe at market open, because this was really interesting. There was multiple lower highs. Whenever you get a day two, day three runner, you always want to look at the chart paint from the day before. And if you remember from yesterday, we had a 7.5 lower high and then a 7.7 high day. So we had kind of this double lower high, nice consistent pre-market volume, and then the 1 minute 20, which is a great long, great Momo long, MA, and had an excellent book map, stacking bids, filling those bids, restacking the bids, and then initiation. This was even if you just took this move, this was an easy 15-20% move. That doesn't even count holding for the rest of it. So just that one move alone was really nice. And then, I was for multi-day runners, I'm actually pretty hesitant to short multi-day runners. I tend to think multi-day runners tend to be pretty strong. Um, and the only time I really take multi-day runner shorts is if it gives a pattern that I really like, right? So you kind of you dive into the low float manipulated, kind of handbook here, and if it's something that's really extreme and I know is really bearish, um, and I take it, and that's me and many people in my Discord room took this short at this exact moment. Because like I was saying, like, even when it was over here in my Discord room, I was like, I'm just kind of gonna watch this. Um, I don't want to jump in front of a increasing volume. See that volume increasing in the pre-market here. Multi-day runner. But there are some bearish elements. The fact that it's opening near the top of its range, that's a bearish factor. Especially one that's nothing but higher low, higher low, higher low. A lot of times, like these aggressive moves into market open can be very bearish. And it's up what 450% in 2 days. So not I always say I care a lot less about gapping percentages than a lot of short sellers, but it is a factor to consider. Um, this was really interesting at market open. It was soaking right on the 1 minute 50. So nice little, quick pullback to the 1 minute 50. So I'm expecting some type of rotation, right? And that rotation could be strong, could be weak. Kind of depends on what the price action is, depends on the book. But I'm open. I had shares, so I was open to the idea of it being a potential long trap. So when you start analyzing the chart paint, right? So the support is the 1 minute 50 support, right? And also VWAP is down here. The resistance are these painted lower highs around 930, 935, right? 935, 939. You got all these nice little lower highs in a cluster here. I thought, oh, maybe they go for 950. They came pretty close, but I was at least paying attention to the high 930s. And they did a classic little trick where um, they swipe support, which could be bullish. There's times where support swipes and initiations could be very bullish, but it kind of depends on, um, multiple factors, like the fact that it's opening at top of its range, and also the book, right? So the book was really interesting. So they knifed it and they threw up a big bid to shove it back up. But as it was shoving back up, they pulled the bid. So there's zero bids on this push. And then it just hit an ask wall up here. Just hit it super hard. No bid follow up. And it cleared the lower highs that were painted to the left. So these are all potentially bearish things. I got in the 920s. People in the room, they got in the 930s. And I was like, this is a good idea. Like this is a type of extreme move that, coupled with the other factors, makes me want to take a um, a multi-day runner short, which because you can lose a lot of money in multi-day runner shorts. And I just took some off at 8 at the 1 minute 200, and then it started consolidating. Um, Took some more off, and then I held a little bit into end of day here. But yeah, we'll go over the chart really fast. So here's that lower high paint. Here's high day. Here's 7.5. It's funny how these become relevant later, right? It's like you really kind of like in my video yesterday. I was saying how this 6.5 paint became super relevant for this push. This lower high paint becomes relevant for the pre-market push, right? So yeah, some nice painted lower highs. Go to the 1 minute. Here's that initial push, and here's the 1 minute 20. Right? I usually don't like to, sometimes when you instant long into the 1 minute 9, you do get momentum like this, and in certain rare situations, like the long at the top type of book, which is not a common book, you get long into the 1 minute 9 on these pushes. But overall, I like to wait for the 1 minute 20 pullback. And I loved how controlled this was. You could see these micro lower highs here. This little, what I would call a controlled walk down. They're just walking it down. Gets really tight, and then you can make a book map read. So look at that really fast. And that was right here. So what you want to see on the 1 minute 20 long are things like, controlled lower highs is always nice to see. You like to see it bounce multiple times off that. So here's kind of like the first touch of the 1 minute 20. You like to see it test it multiple times, at least 2 times. You like to see bids, especially new bids coming in. Look how many bid stacks came in. This was like 1 bid stack, and now it's like 3 bid stacks. And then this is nice to see. But you'll see this this happens on the short, just flipped upside down, where they fill a bid, right? The bid gets completely filled, and they rotate it and put the bid back up. So that happens on the ask on shorts, on like long trap shorts. But yeah, this absorption and this rotation with this double bid stack. This is a A plus long at 9. It's like 840, 841 area. Just A plus, and this is how a lot of those initiations happen, right? The price action gets really tight. They let they test the support level multiple times. They stack multiple layers of bids. Sometimes some of those bids get sold into, they absorb it, and they throw up new bids. And we've seen that, that especially when they stack the new bids, right? We've seen that as a signal for initiation, right? So this was really nice. And then yeah, look, they did another controlled walk down, lower high, lower high. No obvious MA here. They just kind of, probably if you go to the 3 minute, it was a little cleaner. Yeah, like the 3 minute 9. See 3 minute 9, 3 minute 20, actually pretty clean here. So a lot of times the 1 minute tells you most of what you need to know, but you could use the 3 and the 5 if you're more comfortable with that. Just I would study it on your own time and, and track it, right? Anyway. So it's opening near the top of its range. I'm not really looking to short. The volume out the gate was over 1 million shares a minute. Kind of doing crazy volatile stuff. I wasn't really looking to make a read. Because I told my Discord room, I was like, this is gonna be the cleanest long all day. It's gonna be the cleanest long. I saw this and I missed it. And I was like, that's gonna be the cleanest long all day. It's an A plus long. I just had the wrong idea, and then I was sending messages and posting stuff in my Discord room, and I just totally missed it. Some people in the room did catch it though. But yeah, we'll talk about this. So here's VWAP, here's 1 minute 50, and we'll focus on this whole rotation. So the main thing you need to know is VWAP and a 1 minute 50 support. That's a major support level, and then the painted lower highs here, at 941, 930, 930, 936, 933, they're all in the same area. So a lot of long traps will target the lower highs and then pull it, right? So let's just go to the book map on this really fast. So, so this is market open. You can tell the volatility, really insane, kind of hard to read. Not a whole lot of bids, which is probably why it pulled back. But I'm not going to short just because there's no bids on something. And then, yeah, one thing you'll notice so here's the 1 minute 50 VWAP down here. You'll notice a reason you get a lot of these aggressive moves, like this move, this move, this move, is that a lot of these bounces do not have a lot of bid support. They have support they have support at the MAs, but they don't have support on the bounces, right? So it made me think unless a lot of bids started coming up, like getting put below these pushes. Like say, so here's like the third test of the 1 minute 50. Say they started stacking like three, four layers of bids with constant bid follow up. It might be bullish. Might be bullish, but in this case, there's very minimal bid follow up on all these pushes. So you want to be careful longing, um, longing into these rotations when there's not a lot of bids below it, right? And anyway, here's the move, right? So we get a nice little 9.35 push, so $9.35 push, which is another lower high in the grand scheme of things, right? Look left, look at the chart paint. That's another lower high. They pull it, and they do the classic low float trick. Pull it. I think they swipe this low by like 5 cents. Then they rip it, and you can see they put like a what was that? A 30,000 share bid to initiate. But as it gets initiated, not only is there no follow-up bids, but they pull the bids. So now we have an empty, completely empty book to the downside. And we're looking at where the ask are, right? So it swipes the 940 level, right? Look at all this buying happening right here. And I actually got in over here, right? I got in on the on this like mini bounce over here. And it's on an extended stock. It's that cleared out key levels. It's a good trade. And then I thought there was gonna be a lot of backside games on this, but it ended up just kind of going straight down. So that was all pretty interesting. But yeah, I mean, this is your classic 1 minute 20 EMA long, nice absorption, nice lower highs. And yeah, we have these ask up here, but so it's like this is a good example of how the chart paint and your understanding of strong stocks and multi-day runners can influence how you view the book, because it kind of looks ambiguous, right? It kind of looks like there's a bunch of ask up here and there's a bunch of bids down here. But given the context that multi-day runners tend to be strong, the lower high paint from the day before, right? 7.7, 7.5, 7.3, nice lower high paint, and the 1 minute 20 EMA, a common Momo MA, especially when you get these controlled either you get a quick pullback into the MA and it holds, or you get kind of like this controlled lower high action, and then yeah, I mean perfect book on the bids. I took a glance at this. I think when it was over here, I took a glance. And I'm like, oh, there's not a lot of bids, and it'll probably pull back and do something later. And I just completely stopped looking at it, and then I look over 10 minutes later, and I'm like, oh, it's up 20%. That's great. So anyway, but yeah, this is a classic. I have a whole section in my Discord about this, about support swipes into sellers. I did make a video on it, but in my Discord, I track these. I post example after example after example of when these patterns happen. And not only when, sometimes they work really well like this, where it goes straight down. Sometimes they work initially, and then they do something later that pushes it back up. So it's not just examples of it only working, but so it covers the variations, right? So that's something like that is in my disc. And you can, in the description down below, you'll see you can join it through my Patreon. So you join the Patreon, and then you get a link to join the Discord. But yeah, so I cover a lot of manipulated long and short stuff in there, and this is definitely one of the short patterns on an extended stock. So anyway, that's it for today, and you guys have a good one. See ya.